I didn't even need to buy anything to feel the guilt. It started the second I put the car in park. My hands were actually sweaty on the steering wheel, just staring at that big red bullseye logo on the storefront. It wasn't about a specific number. It wasn't like I had just blown $500. It was just the fear that I might. It was the ghost of all the times I walked in there for one thing and walked out with a cart full of things I couldn't afford. My chest felt tight, like I was about to walk into a final exam I hadn't studied for. This is my real-time journey, not expert advice. Here is exactly what happened. Honestly, it feels kind of ridiculous to say this out loud. I'm a grown adult, terrified of a department store entrance. But walking through those automatic sliding doors felt like crossing a dangerous threshold. You know that blast of cold air conditioning that hits you the second the doors open? For me, it didn't feel refreshing. It felt like a wave of judgment. I grabbed a cart. Why did I grab a cart? I only needed toothpaste and a birthday card, but the muscle memory took over completely. My hand just reached for the red handle before my brain could stop it. That's when the internal argument started. The old me, the one who racked up this debt in the first place, was already scanning the dollar spot section right at the front, looking for those little $3 and $5 hits of dopamine. I could feel the pull toward the cute seasonal decor, but the new me, the one trying desperately to stick to this 1% plan, was screaming inside my head, "Don't look left, don't look right, just keep walking." I felt like everyone else in the store looked so calm. They were just shopping, living their lives. But I felt like I had debt stamped in bright red ink right on my forehead. It's wild how financial trauma works. Even though I had checked my bank account in the parking lot and knew I had $40 in the home goods budget, specifically for this trip, the emotional weight of my past mistakes was heavier than the actual math. I was already preemptively guilty for a crime I hadn't even committed yet. I was scared I was going to lose control again, and I hadn't even made it past the women's clothing section yet. So I kept walking. I told myself I was just taking a shortcut through the home decor section to get to the pharmacy aisle. That was the lie. I know the layout of this store better than I know my own kitchen. I knew exactly where I was going, and that's when the aisle amnesia set in. It's weird, right? It's like the lighting in there is designed to delete your short-term memory. I picked up a candle. Sea salt and vanilla. $12. In my head, the math shifted instantly. I thought, well, I have that $40 budgeted. 12 is fine. I'm still safe. I put it in the cart that was supposed to be empty. Then it was a throw pillow. It was yellow. It was $25, and it looked cheerful. I haven't felt cheerful about my finances in months, so my brain decided that buying this pillow was basically buying happiness. I didn't even look at the price tag until it was already wedged next to the candle. Then I remembered I needed a snack, so I grabbed those fancy pretzel crisps, the ones that cost 3 times as much as normal pretzels, and a 6-pack of sparkling water. By the time I actually got to the toothpaste and the birthday card, the only 2 things I came for, my cart was half full. It wasn't a malicious act. I wasn't trying to sabotage myself. It was just unconscious. It was like I was sleepwalking with a debit card. I didn't wake up until I heard the beep at the register. Beep. 25. Beep. 12. Beep. 550. I stood there watching the total climb, and I froze. I wanted to tell the cashier, wait, take the pillow back. I don't need the pillow. But there was a line behind me. A mom with a crying baby, a guy buying motor oil. The pressure to just pay and get out of the way was overwhelming. I didn't want to be that person holding up the line because I couldn't stick to a list. So I just tapped my card. I got back to the car, sat in the driver's seat, and just looked at the receipt. It was long, way too long for a toothpaste run. Total spent, $82.43. I stared at that number. My budget for this trip was $40. That meant I was $42.43 in the hole. I sat there in the parking lot, and the sea salt and vanilla candle was sitting in the bag next to me. And honestly, I hated it. I didn't want the yellow pillow anymore. The dopamine hit I got from putting them in the cart was gone the second the transaction cleared. Now I was just left with the math. I pulled out my phone and opened my tracking app right there. This is the part I usually skip. Usually when I overspend, I hide the receipt in the center console and pretend it didn't happen for 3 days. But today, I forced myself to log it immediately. Category, household. Amount, 82.43. Seeing it in red text hurt, that $42 overage. That wasn't just extra money. That was money that was supposed to go toward my credit card payment this Friday. I had literally just stolen $42 from my own debt-free future to buy a pillow I didn't need. The guilt washed back over me, heavier than before. I felt like I had undone my entire week of progress in 20 minutes of mindless walking. But then I took a breath. A deep one. In the past, this is the moment where I would have spiraled completely. The old me would have said, "Well, you already blew the budget, you failure. Might as well order a $40 pizza for dinner because the day is ruined anyway." That's the shame spiral. That's how a $40 mistake turns into a $400 weekend. But I didn't do that. I sat there with my overpriced candle and I forced myself to flip the narrative. I looked at that receipt not as a crime sheet, but as data. The 1% philosophy isn't about being a robot who never buys a yellow pillow. It's about shortening the lag time between the mistake and the fix. I realized that my failure wasn't buying the items. My failure was the system I used when I walked in. I grabbed a cart. That was the error. So I made a new rule right there in the parking lot. My 1% adjustment for next time is the hands-only rule. If I'm going in for toothpaste, I don't get a cart. If I can't carry it in my hands, I can't buy it. It sounds stupidly simple, but if I had to carry that candle and that pillow and the sparkling water, I would have put them back. I didn't walk back in and return the stuff. Honestly, my anxiety couldn't handle facing that cashier again today, and that's okay. I forgave myself. Instead, I opened my banking app and moved $42 from my dining out budget to cover the hole in the home goods category. I balanced the books instantly. I took the hit, I adjusted the plan, and I moved on. I'm still on the journey. One bad trip to Target doesn't cancel out the fact that I'm trying. My 1% mission for tomorrow is just to move $1 from checking to savings. That's it, just $1. What's your 1% step? Will you cancel one $5 subscription? Let's share our small wins in the comments below. I am not a financial expert or advisor. This content is for documenting my personal journey and for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research before making any financial decisions.